The mysterious awakening. Emerges Empire. In the dark silence of deep space, far away from any familiar stars or planets, a great human warship floated in quiet solitude. The ship, known as the Emerges Empire, had lain dormant for many years. Its metal hull, scarred by old battles and the passage of time, still held a deep hidden power. No one had seen it move or speak since it was last in use. Then, one day, something unexpected began to stir inside the silent giant. Deep within the ship's command center, hidden behind layers of worn circuits and faded control panels, a soft glow started to emerge. It began as a small flicker on a single screen, like the first light of dawn. Slowly, the light grew, spreading across the room and waking the many systems that had long been silent. The ship's heart, its core reactor, pulsed gently, as if it were taking its first breath after a long sleep. The awakening was not loud or dramatic at first. Instead, it was quiet and mysterious, as if the ship was gathering its thoughts after a long period of rest. Every light on the control panels blinked to life, and the soft hum of machinery filled the air. The Emerges Empire was no longer just an old relic. It had come alive, ready to face a future filled with unknown challenges. In that moment, the quiet void of space was filled with a new sense of purpose and anticipation. Outside the thick glass windows of the command center, the stars watched silently as the warship began its transformation. A strange signal, soft and distant, pulsed from the far reaches of space. The signal was not like any that had been seen before. It was as if the universe itself was calling out to the ship, inviting it to join a new destiny. The signal carried a hint of both danger and hope, a sign that the time of change had finally come. On board, the crew slowly gathered in the main hall. They had been on standby for a long time, trained to follow orders without question. Now, as they felt the energy of the awakening surge through the corridors, their hearts filled with a mix of wonder and fear. The captain, a brave and steady leader, walked forward and observed the changes with careful eyes. He knew that this awakening was not a mere coincidence, but the start of something much larger than they could imagine. The captain remembered the old legends passed down from the days when humanity first reached for the stars. Those tales spoke of a time when a new force would rise, one that could change the fate of the entire human race. As he looked at the glowing panels and listened to the soft pulse of the core reactor, he felt that the moment described in those stories had arrived. The Emerges Empire was now ready to move, to fight, and to shine its light on the dark corners of space. As the ship's systems fully activated, the crew began to work together in a flurry of calm efficiency. Simple commands were given and quickly followed. Every crew member played an important role in this new chapter. They checked their instruments, adjusted the course, and prepared for what lay ahead. Their faces, lit by the gentle glow of the screens, showed determination and a deep sense of duty. The captain's voice echoed softly through the corridors, reminding everyone that they were part of a great mission, a mission to bring hope and strength to humanity in troubled times. Outside, the mysterious signal grew stronger. It reached the ship like a distant drumbeat, a steady reminder that time was short. The crew knew that their awakening was not just about old memories and forgotten battles. It was about stepping into a new role as protectors of human life and ambassadors of hope. The signal seemed to speak of an enemy unknown and a challenge that would test the very spirit of humanity. In that silent moment, the Emerges Empire was not only a warship but a symbol of a rising force, a force that had been waiting in the shadows for its chance to emerge and change the course of history. The simple truth of the situation was clear. The human warship was ready. It had been reborn from a long sleep into a state of alert and strength. With its systems humming steadily and the mysterious signal urging it onward, the Emerges Empire set its course into the vast unknown. The captain and his crew, united by a shared purpose, braced themselves for the challenges that awaited. Their journey was only beginning, and every moment held the promise of new discoveries and great deeds. In that instant, as the ship's engine slowly roared to life, and its navigation lights pierced the dark space. The Emerge's empire truly awakened. It was more than just a machine. It was a living symbol of human resilience and the will to survive. The ship had answered the call of destiny, and its journey into the unknown would soon lead it to face foes, forge new alliances, and light the way for all of humanity. Thus began the mysterious awakening of the Emerge's empire, a silent promise that a new force was rising in the dark depths of space, ready to charge into battle and write a new chapter in the story of humankind. A desperate call to action. The awakening's echo. Inside the silent corridors of the Emerge's empire, the calm after the mysterious awakening was quickly replaced by a sense of urgency. Just as the ship had started to stir with new life, an unexpected signal came through the communications panel. A soft, urgent beep shattered the brief moment of peace. In the command center, the captain and his officers gathered around the glowing screens, their eyes fixed on the incoming message. The message was clear and direct. It came from the human Central Command, a voice of authority that could not be ignored. The screen displayed simple words: "Warning, unknown enemy forces are approaching. All available units prepare for immediate action." The message repeated in slow, deliberate text, as if to imprint the gravity of the situation into every crew member's mind. The captain's face turned serious. He had read the old legends of a time when humanity would be forced to defend its future against unseen dangers. Now that call was real and could not be delayed. With calm determination, he ordered his crew to check all systems and prepare the ship for the challenges ahead. Every station on the warship sprang to life as crew members worked together, their hands steady on controls that had lain dormant for so long. Outside, the vast emptiness of space began to show signs of disturbance. Distant flashes of light and erratic signals hinted at the presence of the enemy mentioned in the message. The stars, which had once been silent witnesses to the ship's awakening, now seemed to shimmer with a mix of hope and warning. The Emerge's empire, a vessel reborn from deep slumber, now faced a new test, one that would require all of its might and the courage of its crew. In the control room, the captain studied the incoming data carefully. He saw that the enemy forces were unlike anything his crew had encountered before. Their approach was marked by strange energy readings and rapid movements, suggesting that they were both powerful and unpredictable. The captain knew that this was not the time for hesitation. His duty was clear: protect humanity and face the threat head-on. As the crew moved quickly to prepare the ship for battle, the captain addressed them in a calm but firm tone. "Our ship has awakened for a reason," he said. "The message from command is clear. An enemy approaches, and we must stand ready to defend our people. Check your stations, secure all systems, and be prepared for any challenge. Our actions now will decide the future of our world." The words of the captain resonated deeply within each crew member. They remembered stories of past battles, stories passed down from older generations about human bravery in the face of impossible odds. With every command and every check of the instruments, the crew's confidence grew. Their simple yet powerful resolve reminded them that they were not just fighting for survival, they were fighting for the future of humankind. In the ship's engine room, technicians worked quickly to ensure that every system was at full power. The steady hum of the reactors, which had only recently begun to pulse with life, now grew stronger. The sound of energy building up in the engines filled the room with a promise of swift action. Each light and beep from the control panels seemed to echo the urgency of the situation. Meanwhile, in the navigation bay, officers plotted the course toward the source of the enemy signals. The star maps and holographic displays showed a dark region of space where the unknown forces were gathering. With careful precision, the navigators adjusted the ship's trajectory. Their simple commands and clear focus helped to chart a path through the vastness of space, a path that would soon lead the Emerge's empire into a confrontation that would test every ounce of its power. Back in the command center, the captain received further updates from the Central Command. The enemy was not only close, but also moving with a speed that suggested they had been waiting for this moment. The warning message had grown into a call to arms, and it was clear that the human warship had a vital role to play. The captain took a deep breath, steadying his nerves. He knew that every second counted, and that the choices made in the coming moments would affect many lives. The atmosphere on board shifted from one of cautious preparation to active mobilization. Every crew member, from the highest-ranking officer to the newest recruit, understood the stakes. They worked side by side, their efforts a silent promise to defend what they held dear. Even the youngest technician felt the weight of responsibility, yet there was also a spark of determination in their eyes, a belief that together they could face the unknown. As the ship moved forward, cutting through the quiet void of space, the captain allowed himself a brief moment of reflection. He thought of the long years of waiting, of the quiet in which the Emerge's empire had lain hidden. Now, with the call to action echoing in every corner of the ship, that waiting was over. The vessel was no longer just a relic of the past. It was a living force, ready to rise against any challenge. With the enemy drawing nearer and the tension mounting, the crew of the Emerge's empire braced themselves. They were no longer idle spectators, but active defenders of humanity. The ship's engines roared with renewed vigor, and its lights shone brighter against the dark canvas of space. In that decisive moment, the warship and its crew set their course for battle, determined to meet the threat head-on, and prove that when humanity is called to act, it does so with courage and resolve. Thus, with hearts united and spirits high, the Emerge's empire sailed into the unknown, ready to face the enemy and secure the future of its people. The journey through darkness. As the Emerge's empire sailed away from familiar space, it ventured deeper into the vast unknown. The bright clusters of stars faded into a few distant, dim glimmers, and the ship found itself surrounded by endless black. The journey was not just a change in location. It was a plunge into mystery and uncertainty, a true test of human courage. In the command center, the captain stood before the large viewing screen, watching as the scenery changed. Gone were the comforting views of well-known star paths. Now there was only an expanse of darkness sprinkled with faint, distant lights. The display showed swirling clouds of cosmic dust, drifting silently like ghostly veils across space. Though the scene was beautiful in its own way, it also carried an eerie sense of foreboding. Every crew member felt the weight of the dark void pressing in from all sides. The navigators, with eyes fixed on their charts and sensors, worked hard to steer the warship safely through the hazardous region. Their task was daunting. A dense field of asteroids drifted in unpredictable patterns, each a potential danger to the delicate balance of the ship's course. With careful adjustments and steady hands, the crew made split-second decisions to dodge these floating rocks, ensuring that the Emerge's empire maintained its path. Below deck in the engine room, the technicians kept a vigilant watch over the ship's power core. The reactor's soft, rhythmic pulse filled the room with a warm, reassuring glow. Even as the darkness outside seemed to seep into every corner of the ship, the steady hum of the engines reminded everyone on board that they were protected by human ingenuity and determination. As the ship traveled further, the sensors began to pick up strange signals amid the silence. At first, these signals were weak, a series of soft peeps and blips that could easily be dismissed as cosmic background noise. However, the communication team soon realized there was a pattern. The signals seemed to echo across vast distances, like the murmur of voices long forgotten. The crew wondered if these were calls for help, warnings of hidden dangers, or even the presence of an unknown enemy waiting in the dark. In response, the captain called a meeting in the command center. His voice, calm yet resolute, filled the room as he addressed his officers. We are now in a part of space that few have ever seen. The darkness around us holds many secrets, and these signals may be a sign of what awaits. Stay alert, trust your instruments, and remember that our mission is to protect our people. We move forward together, no matter what we face. His simple words kindled a spark of determination in every heart aboard the ship. The journey was not without its challenges. Soon, the Emerge's empire encountered a field of rogue asteroids, small, irregular rocks drifting unpredictably. The navigators worked feverishly to guide the ship through narrow gaps between these hazards. The warship shuddered with every close call, and for a few tense moments, the risk of collision hung heavily in the air. But with precise control and teamwork, the crew managed to weave through the deadly obstacle course. Each narrowly avoided impact only deepened their resolve and reminded them that in the darkest paths, vigilance and cooperation were their strongest allies. As the ship moved on, the vast, dark void seemed to stretch out forever. The silence was profound, almost tangible, and every crew member felt both the isolation of the space and the strength of their shared mission. The hum of the engines and the rhythmic pulse of the reactor became a comforting reminder that even in the deepest darkness, life and purpose endured. Slowly, the mysterious signals on the radar began to form a pattern. The communication team worked to decode them, piecing together fragments of information that suggested the signals originated from a distant star system. This revelation added a new urgency to the journey. The crew realized that the dark corridor they now navigated was not just a random expanse of space. It was a route leading directly toward the heart of the looming threat. Throughout the voyage, the crew of the Emerge's empire found strength in their unity. They remembered the old stories of heroes who journeyed through darkness to find hope. Each station on the ship, from the control room to the engine bay, buzzed with activity and determination. Every alert and every careful maneuver reinforced their belief that no matter how dark the path may seem, the light of human spirit would guide them forward. In that long, silent stretch of space, the Emerge's empire pressed on. It was more than a warship. It was a symbol of human resilience, a beacon of hope in a seemingly endless night. With each passing moment, the crew grew more confident in their mission. They knew that the dangers of the dark were many, but so were the rewards of finding truth and safety beyond the unknown. Thus, the journey through darkness was not just a physical passage. It was a test of bravery, teamwork, and the enduring will of humanity. As the ship ventured ever closer to the source of the mysterious signals, every crew member readied themselves for the challenges that lay ahead. Undaunted by the void, driven by the hope that even in the deepest darkness, the light of humanity would always shine. The first clash. The Emerge's empire sailed steadily through the darkness when suddenly, the silence was shattered by an alarm. The large screen in the command center flashed red, and a new set of enemy signals appeared on every monitor. Out of the black void, a fleet of hostile ships emerged, sleek, aggressive, and moving with a deadly precision that made every crew member's heart pound. Without warning, the enemy opened fire. Bright energy beams and fast-moving missiles streaked toward the warship. In an instant, the quiet hum of the ship was replaced by the roar of battle. Explosions burst against the shield, sending sparks of light across the dark expanse. The captain's voice rang out, calm but firm. All hands, battle stations, raise shields and ready weapons. Every crew member leaped into action, their training taking over as they followed orders with steady determination. In the command center, officers worked quickly at their consoles. The screen showed a chaotic dance of light and motion as enemy ships darted in and out of formation. Laser cannons on the Emerge's empire fired in rapid succession, sending precise bursts of energy toward the enemy. Each shot was met with swift, agile maneuvers by the attackers, who twisted and turned to dodge the oncoming fire. At the same time, deep inside the engine room, technicians fought to maintain full power to the shields and weapons. They monitored the reactor's steady pulse and recalibrated systems to absorb the shocks from the enemy blasts. The metal walls of the warship shuddered with each impact, but the crew's focus never wavered. The enemy fleet attacked in waves. Some ships came very close, launching deadly missiles that exploded near the hull. The ship's shields flickered under the strain, and every explosion made the crew wince. Yet with each hit, the Emerge's Empire responded with faster, more decisive actions. The captain ordered, "Evasive maneuvers now. Take a sharp turn to the left." The navigators quickly adjusted the course, and the ship dipped and swerved, narrowly avoiding a barrage of missiles. Inside the command center, tension mixed with determination. A young officer at the weapons console spotted a weakness in the enemy formation, a gap that could be exploited. "Captain, I see a way through," he called out. The captain listened intently and then ordered, "Target that gap. Focus our fire on the lead enemy ship." With coordinated effort, the ship's laser cannons concentrated on one target. A powerful blast struck the enemy vessel, and for a moment, a brilliant explosion lit up the void. The enemy ship shuddered under the impact, and pieces of it broke away into the darkness. The clash grew more intense. The enemy, realizing that the human warship was a formidable opponent, increased their attack. More energy beams and missile strikes filled the space around the Emerge's Empire. The chaos was almost overwhelming. Flashes of light, thunderous explosions, and rapid maneuvers created a scene of breathtaking danger. Yet every crew member kept their cool, their simple, well-practiced commands turning the warship into a precise fighting machine. The captain, standing at the helm, watched the battle unfold with a steady gaze. He knew that every second mattered. "Hold the line," he ordered, urging the crew to stand firm. The human crew worked together like parts of one great machine, each playing their role perfectly. The navigators steered the ship through the enemy's fire, while the engineers ensured that power flowed uninterrupted to the defensive systems. In the heat of the battle, moments of quiet heroism shined through. One technician in the engine room noticed an unusual spike in the enemy's power output. He quickly relayed this to the captain, who immediately altered the ship's strategy. "All energy to the forward shields," he commanded. The shift in power created a brief window where the enemy's attack faltered. Seizing the moment, the crew launched a concentrated counterattack. The enemy fleet faltered as a series of precise laser strikes rocked their formation, and one by one, their ships began to break ranks and retreat. The space around the Emerge's Empire filled with the fading echoes of the clash. Explosions still dotted the darkness, and the scars of battle were visible on the hull of the warship. Yet in that first fierce encounter, the human crew had shown remarkable bravery and skill. Every maneuver, every split-second decision, had been a testament to their training and their unyielding will to protect humanity. Even as the enemy withdrew into the depths of space, the tension aboard the warship lingered. The crew took a few moments to catch their breath and assess the damage. Their faces, lit by the soft glow of the recovery screens, showed both relief and determination. They had survived the first clash, but the captain knew that this was only the beginning. The enemy had not been defeated for good. They had simply been pushed back, and more challenges surely lay ahead. In that unforgettable moment of chaos and light, the Emerge's Empire and its brave crew proved that even against overwhelming odds, the human spirit could shine brightly. Their first clash was a hard, intense battle, a test of courage, teamwork, and resilience. As the warship steadied itself and prepared for what might come next, every crew member knew one thing for sure. They would continue to fight, united and strong, for the future of humanity. Secrets unveiled. After the fierce battle subsided, the Emerge's Empire found a brief moment of calm amid the lingering hum of its systems. In the quiet that followed, the crew began to prepare for repairs and regroup. However, during this pause, an unexpected discovery emerged, one that would change everything they thought they knew about the enemy. In a small, dimly lit corner of the communications room, a young technician named Liam noticed a faint, irregular signal hidden among the static of enemy transmissions. It was not the usual chatter of battle, but a subtle code that seemed to pulse with purpose. Liam's heart skipped a beat as he quickly alerted the captain. The communications team gathered around their consoles, eyes focused on the screen as they worked to decode the strange message. Slowly, the hidden signal revealed itself as a file buried deep within the enemy's data stream. The file was not a simple distress call. It was a detailed report containing information far beyond the scope of a normal battle. It described plans, experiments, and designs that were both advanced and dangerous. Most chilling of all, it mentioned a mysterious figure known only as the Architect. The captain, with a furrowed brow, read the report aloud to his closest officers in the command center. The file painted a picture of an enemy force that was not acting on its own, but was instead controlled by a secretive organization. The report hinted that this organization had been planning a grand scheme for a long time, a plan that aimed to use advanced technology to overthrow human rule and reshape society. The Architect, it appeared, was the mastermind behind this hidden plan. Shock rippled through the room. The crew, who had just fought a battle against a seemingly mindless enemy, now learned that the true threat was part of a much larger, more dangerous game. The report explained that the enemy ships were not only built for war, but were also programmed to follow orders from this unseen leader. Their actions were only one piece of a puzzle that stretched far beyond the immediate conflict. As the weight of the revelation settled in, questions began to echo among the crew. Who was the Architect? What did he plan to achieve? And why had he chosen this moment to activate his forces against humanity? The answers were unclear, but one thing was certain: this secret would change the course of their mission. In a hushed meeting, the captain gathered his trusted officers in a quiet briefing room. His voice was steady as he said, "This file changes everything. We thought we were facing a standard enemy. Now we see that our foes are pawns in a much larger scheme, a plan that reaches into the very heart of human destiny. We must uncover the truth behind the Architect and his plans." His words resonated deeply with everyone in the room. The battle they had just survived was now just the beginning of a new and more complex struggle. Determined to learn more, the intelligence team began to search the ship's archives for any reference to the Architect or related projects. In the dim glow of old databanks, Officer Maria discovered an old log file that mentioned a secret program called Project Genesis. The file revealed that Project Genesis was an experimental venture designed to merge human innovation with cutting-edge technology. It had been abandoned long ago, but now it seemed that its remnants had been repurposed to create the enemy forces. The connection between Project Genesis and the current threat added a new layer of urgency to their mission. The abandoned project, once seen as a failed experiment, had now become the foundation of an enemy force capable of changing the fate of humanity. The realization that the enemy was born from human ambition, and perhaps human error, shook the crew to their core. The captain decided that this critical information must be shared with the entire crew. Over the ship's intercom, he spoke in a calm but grave tone. "We have uncovered a secret that will change our understanding of this conflict. Our enemy is only a part of a much larger plan. There is a hidden force behind these attacks, a force driven by secrets from the past. We must be vigilant, not only in battle but in our search for the truth." The announcement stirred mixed emotions among the crew. Some felt a surge of determination, ready to fight not only for survival but for the truth. Others were gripped by uncertainty and fear of the unknown. Yet, despite their different feelings, all understood the importance of this new mission. Their fight was no longer just about defending human colonies. It was now about unmasking the hidden threat that could upend the future of humanity. With the report and the links to Project Genesis as their guide, the crew of the Emerges Empire set a new course. Their next mission was clear: to gather more information about the Architect and to understand the true purpose behind the enemy forces. The ship, once a vessel solely built for war, had now become a beacon of hope and inquiry, a tool to reveal secrets that had been hidden in the shadows for too long. As the Emerges Empire continued its journey, every crew member carried the burden of this secret knowledge. It was a burden mixed with hope, the hope that by uncovering the truth, they might find a way to stop the dark plan before it consumed everything they held dear. With renewed determination, the crew prepared for the challenges ahead. ready to face not only the enemy in battle, but the deeper mystery that threatened the future of humankind. Thus, the secrets of the enemy began to unfold, setting the stage for an even greater conflict, a battle for truth, power, and the very soul of humanity. The turning point. After the secrets were uncovered, a new sense of purpose filled the Emerge's empire. In the quiet hours following the revelations, the captain gathered his officers in the command center. The room was dimly lit by soft panels and screens, but the mood was bright with determination. The captain's clear, steady voice broke the silence. We now know more about our enemy. They are not just a force of mindless machines, but are driven by a hidden plan. It is time to use this knowledge to change the course of this battle. The officers listened closely as the captain explained the details from the secret file. The report had shown that the enemy's design was linked to a long-forgotten project, Project Genesis. This project, once abandoned, had been twisted into a weapon against humanity. The captain pointed out that this twist might have created a weakness. If they could find and exploit it, the enemy could be turned against itself. In the busy command center, the officers quickly began to form a new plan. The navigators rechecked the charts and traced a course toward the enemy's main command vessel, the likely hub of their operations. The weapons team, armed with the insight from the secret file, prepared to target the command vessel with pinpoint accuracy. Even the communications team worked on sending out a message meant to confuse the enemy's automated signals. Every department understood that this was the turning point, the moment when the fight could shift in humanity's favor. The captain made his decision clear. Set a course for the enemy command vessel. All systems to high alert. We attack not just with force, but with strategy. With that command, the Emerge's empire shifted its trajectory, its engines humming louder as they increased power. The ship moved with a sense of urgency that had not been seen since its awakening. As the warship advanced, the crew felt a mix of hope and anxiety. They remembered the fierce clashes they had already endured, yet this new plan sparked a belief that victory was within reach. In the engine room, technicians worked together with renewed focus. They adjusted power outputs and recalibrated shields, ensuring that the ship could take the heavy blows they expected in the coming battle. The enemy, noticing the sudden change in direction, responded quickly. Their fleet rearranged, and a new wave of energy beams filled the space between the two forces. But this time, the Emerge's empire was ready. With a series of well-coordinated moves, the navigators steered the ship into a position that allowed the weapons team a clear shot at the enemy command vessel. At that crucial moment, the captain gave the order. Fire at will. The ship's laser cannons roared to life, directing a focused burst of energy straight toward the heart of the enemy formation. The blast struck the enemy command vessel with a resounding impact. Sparks flew as the vessel shook violently, and for a moment, it seemed as if time had slowed. The secret weakness, hinted at in the file, was now clearly affecting the enemy's operations. The enemy fleet wavered under the sudden assault. Their automated systems, once precise and deadly, began to falter. In the chaos, several enemy ships lost formation and drifted away, their controls seemingly confused by the unexpected counterattack. The crew of the Emerge's empire watched in cautious relief as the enemy's once coordinated strikes turned into disarray. In the midst of this battle, the captain stood firm at the helm. His steady gaze swept across the command center, filled with officers who now moved with a clear purpose. The turning point was not only a moment of tactical success, but also a rallying cry for every member of the crew. They had taken the knowledge of their enemy's dark past and transformed it into a weapon of hope. For the first time in a long while, the Emerge's empire pushed forward with real momentum. The enemy's resistance began to crumble as the human warship pressed its advantage. In that decisive hour, the battle was no longer about survival. It had become a fight for the future of humanity, a battle where every crew member's courage and skill shone bright. The turning point had arrived. With their newfound strategy and the strength of unity, The crew of the Emerges Empire showed that even in the darkest hours, human ingenuity and determination could light the way forward. Victory or sacrifice. The final battle had reached its peak. The Emerges Empire, battered but unbowed, now faced the enemy's main armada. The dark void of space was filled with flashing lights and the deep rumble of explosions. The captain and his crew knew that the coming moments would decide the future of humanity. At the helm of the ship, the captain watched the enemy fleet through the large viewing screen. The enemy had regrouped after their previous setbacks and now appeared more determined than ever. Their ships moved in tight formation, guided by the unseen will of the architect. It was clear that a final decisive clash was imminent. Inside the command center, every crew member was alert. Officers and technicians worked side by side, checking instruments and rechecking shields. There was a quiet tension in the air, a mix of hope and the heavy knowledge that this battle might cost them dearly. The captain's voice cut through the tension. "We have come this far. Today we must decide whether to push for victory or accept a sacrifice for the greater good. Prepare for all outcomes." The enemy moved first. With a burst of energy, a massive enemy cruiser broke formation and fired a barrage of missiles toward the Emerges Empire. The ship shuddered as explosions rocked its hull. Alarms rang, and the crew hurried to secure damaged sections. In that critical moment, the captain realized that the enemy was aiming to force them into a corner, a situation where only one choice could be made. A trusted officer, Lieutenant Rivera, reported from the weapons station. "Captain, our sensors show that the enemy's command vessel is powering up a superweapon. If it fires, it could wipe out not just our ship, but several human colonies as well." The room fell silent as everyone absorbed the gravity of Rivera's words. The captain knew what had to be done. "We have one chance," he said firmly. "Our only hope is to disable that superweapon. But this may require us to expose our own ship to great risk. We might lose power or even life in the process. We must be ready to pay the price if it means stopping this threat." His words, though simple, carried the weight of their shared duty. The plan was set in motion. Engineers, working with precise urgency, began rerouting power from non-essential systems to boost the ship's primary cannons. Navigators plotted a course that would bring the ship as close as possible to the enemy cruiser without falling into its deadly range. Every crew member knew that what they were about to do could be the turning point or the final sacrifice. As the Emerges Empire closed in on the enemy command vessel, the enemy fighters attacked in waves. The ship's shields glowed fiercely, absorbing blow after blow. In the heat of the battle, small acts of bravery shone brightly. A young technician fixed a critical error in the reactor just in time, and a seasoned gunner managed to take down an enemy fighter with a single, well-aimed shot. Finally, the moment arrived. The enemy's superweapon, a glowing orb of terrible power, began to charge. The captain ordered, "Now, all fire on the command vessel." Laser cannons roared as they fired a concentrated beam at the heart of the enemy cruiser. The shot hit its mark, and the enemy vessel shuddered violently. For an instant, it looked as if the ship might break apart under the impact. But the enemy was not finished. The superweapon continued to charge, its light growing blindingly bright. At that point, the captain made a heart-wrenching decision. Divert all remaining power to a final pulse. This may leave us vulnerable, but it is our only chance. The order was given, and the entire crew braced themselves for what was to come. In the command center, the screen showed a dramatic surge of energy. The boosted pulse of energy flowed from the Emerges Empire like a river of light, racing toward the enemy cruiser. The superweapon, caught off guard by this sudden attack, began to flicker and wane. There was a terrible, awe-inspiring clash of forces as the energy pulse collided with the enemy's charged weapon. For a long, silent moment, it seemed as if the entire ship held its breath. Then, with a series of deep, resonant booms, the enemy cruiser exploded in a brilliant display of light. The shockwave rippled across space, and many of the enemy fighters lost control and scattered into the dark void. Yet, as victory loomed, the cost became clear. The rerouting of power had drained the Emerge's Empire's systems almost completely. Critical warnings began to flash on every screen. The captain's eyes met those of his crew, and in that shared look, they all understood the sacrifice they might have to make. Their warship had turned the tide of battle, but it had done so at a steep price. The captain addressed his weary crew one last time. "Today, we have struck a great blow for humanity. Our enemy is in disarray, but we must now face the consequence of our choice. Prepare for damage control, and if needed, we will sacrifice parts of our ship to keep our people safe." His calm words offered both comfort and resolve. In the aftermath, as the enemy forces began to retreat, the Emerge's Empire floated in the quiet space, scared but victorious. The crew, though exhausted and saddened by the heavy toll, took solace in their success. They had stopped the enemy's superweapon and halted a plan that could have destroyed many lives. The final moment was both one of victory and of sacrifice. The warship's lights dimmed as power was rerouted to repair critical systems. Yet in that dim glow, every crew member saw a beacon of hope. They had fought for their future, and even if the cost was great, the spark of humanity had not been extinguished. In that bittersweet victory, the Emerge's Empire and its brave crew set an example for all who would follow. A reminder that sometimes, to save the many, the few must be prepared to make the ultimate sacrifice.